All right. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, HUDCO Roofing, HUDCORoofing.com. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. You got pain, book a session with Crystal Poche. You want to learn about EV chargers, ProChargeEV.com. Okay, y'all. My goodness gracious, great balls of fire. LSU did it again, man. Dramatic fashion, and the Tigers are one win away from the program's 7th national championship in baseball. What a night. Thanks to everybody who watched Whiskey and Wine. Had a great time over at Don Juan. Thanks to all who came out. Thanks to everybody who watched the pregame show along with us. We'll be back at it today. Jimmy and I will be in studio at noon. So it's right presently as we're doing this, 8:52 a.m. So we'll be live in 3 hours in the ESPN studio downtown Baton Rouge, getting you ready for Game 2, LSU in Florida. So we'll preview that. We'll preview Game 2 here in a second. Kind of a recap of last night. Say some good mornings here real quick while the audience builds a little bit before I delve too deeply into it. Dad, Bart St. Germain, Bruno Van Moore, good morning. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Kelly Presley, Ryan Amanda Guidry, Jamie Leday, Darren Reeves, Andrew McKinney, Todd Harris. What's up, y'all? Your shirt is on fire. Y'all never seen this shirt? This is the Todd Peterson shirt. I hit bombs. I hit bombs. We had those made back in 18 after Todd Peterson became the legend that he is. Or he was already a legend, but when everyone realized he was the legend that he is. Will Myers, good morning, Matt. Do we finally get a game that goes over the total today? 9.5 on DraftKings. I don't think so, Will. Hurston Waldrop going for Florida today. I don't think so, man. It's going to be tough to break through against Waldrop. So, one of the things, couple things that I'll tell you, I think the reasons, we'll go through the game, but reasons last night, winning Game 1 was so significant, aside from the obvious, right? I mean, you had to win the game, and you're now one win away also. But the manner in which it went, number one, Floyd against Sproat was, on paper, push to maybe slight lean LSU with the way Floyd's been pitching. And look, Ty Floyd struck out 17 last night. I mean, Brett Laxton had the LSU CWS record with 16 back in the 93 national championship game when he pitched a complete game shutout against Wichita State. And Floyd struck out 17 in 8 innings. And they didn't send him back out for the ninth. I get it, he was at 122 pitches, but I'm like, Jesus, he struck out the side in the 8th, and he was throwing 96 miles an hour. Why did you pull him? I mean, my God. Anyway, so, and then Cooper came out and did what he does. But so, point being, let me not lose sight of that. So, you had to get that game because Game 2, the edge shifts to Florida. Hurston Waldrop is a dude. I mean, I know Sproat's their Friday guy, but Waldrop pitched for Southern Miss last year. Y'all probably heard this already, but for the benefit of those who haven't, Waldrop is the guy who pitched for Southern Miss in the Marble game of the regional last year. They had Tanner Hall, who's from Baton Rouge, but they had Waldrop was their other guy. And Waldrop was the big, tall strikeout pitcher with the split finger fastball. And he went 6 2/3 of 2-run ball and struck out 11 in that game. Now, LSU ended up coming back against their bullpen and winning it in 10. Before, of course, Southern Miss came back and won 2 in a row out of the loser bracket. But point being, Waldrop is going to be tough to handle. Now, In SEC play, Waldrop's ERA was over 5. Like in SEC play alone, his ERA was over 5. On the season, I think it's around 4.6, something like that. So he's been got at times this year, but he is their best arm. Like he's a dude. And so LSU today goes back to Ackenhausen, and then whatever may follow depending on how the game flow is going. But that is an advantage. Starting pitching advantage on paper goes to Florida today. So my point is, you didn't want to lose game one and have your season hanging in the balance facing Hurst and Waldrop. Think back to 2009, the last one LSU won. You win game one, and then in game two you had to face Taylor Youngman. And Taylor Youngman from Texas that day threw a complete game. I mean, he dealt. It was incredible. And then LSU came back with Renato in game three and won the national championship, as we all know. Renato and Chad Jones and Lewis Coleman. But anyway, so we'll see how the game goes. But that's why it was so important to win last night, specifically, because you have to face Waldrop today. That's one. Two, Kevin O'Sullivan went all in with his bullpen to win that game, knowing he had Waldrop today. And I'm going to remind you of something he did back in 2017 in a second, but it was very similar. He went all in, going Fisher and then Neely. Neely is those are their two best arms. Fisher the lefty and Neely's their All-American closer. And the fact that they were even talking about it on the broadcast, like, do you keep running Neely out there? And Neely ended up throwing 50. I'll get you the exact number of pitches he threw in the game. He threw, I think the two. But they haven't loaded it yet, of course. Both pitchers, Neely and Fisher, went over 50 pitches for Florida. Here it is. Fisher threw 50, Neely threw 54. So I don't know that either of those guys is available today. Fisher went 3 1/3, Neely went 3 2/3. So just for comparison, I'll let you know kind of like what Neely's average outing and season long was. Drew's awake. All right. Here you go. So Neely's season stats. So that was his long outing of the season. 3 2/3 was that was his longest outing of the season. 2 innings against South Florida, 2 2/3 against Cincinnati, 3 innings against Bama, 2 against Florida State, 2 against Ole Miss, 2 2/3 against Auburn, 2 1/3 against Missouri, 2 a day later against Missouri. So that maybe is your comp right there. Well, no, because look, he went he pitched back-to-back days against Missouri and went 43-31. Yesterday he went 54 pitches. So in theory Neely could come back maybe today. And then the next week against A&M he pitched in back-to-back. No, he pitched Friday and then Sunday, 28-26. I'm trying to see when he pitched back-to-back days. Ole Miss 29-23. Point is that the 54 pitches I think is the most he threw in the year. Let's see. He threw 53 against Alabama. And then had 4 days off, or 3 days off, pitched 4 days later. Nope, he threw 59 against Auburn. And did not pitch the rest of that series. 56 against Bama in the SEC tournament. And didn't pitch again until the regional. Yeah. So 56 against Bama in the SEC tournament are the most pitches Neely's thrown, and didn't pitch again in the SEC tournament. He didn't pitch again until the regional. So anyway, point is they burned Neely and Fisher. O'Sullivan went all in for game one, and you still got it. So now, yes, they have an advantage with Waldrop on the mound today. But I don't know that Fisher or Neely would give them much today. We'll see. And their bullpen is not very good. So if you get through to Waldrop, they're thin. They either go back to the dudes that they taxed less than 24 hours ago, or go to other arms that, quite frankly, aren't as good. So, I mean, it's last night was so massive. It was so massive to get that game. Just super important to get that game. Okay. I'll jump over here to YouTube, say some good mornings. Damon Gilmore, Raging Cajun 79, Joey Vincent, good morning. Running on fumes this week, but it's worth it. Joey, you're running on fumes. Brother, I've been doing 2-hour post-game shows every night this week. Oh man, I got to go run up and do another pregame show at noon. But yes, it's worth it. It's worth it. Michael McMichelson, don't get me wrong, I'd love to close it out tonight. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't love to see Skeens close out Game 3. Let's take care of it tonight. Skeens has done his heavy lifting. Let's get it done tonight. Or this afternoon. Trivia Carter, I'm on fire. How about the hire Scott Woodward has made? I said the day he was hired. I'll pull the clip. Said the day Scott Woodward was hired. Said it's the most significant hire for LSU athletics since they hired Nick Saban in December of 1999. For this reason exactly. He knows the back channels. He knows the what trees to shake to get what he needs done. He's a proven hirer of elite coaching talent. Yes, absolutely, completely agree. Bruce Shales, what's going on? I want today to end with the dog pile. I agree. Brennan Huff, Spurge, what's good? Blake Canfield, Donovan Peterson. Wacky Chris, what's up? Larry Garner. Florida lost and I lost my voice. My voice can't come out of the loser's bracket. Janet, just watching the end of Whiskey and Wine. Cool, thank you, Janet. Chawalt One, Leon Williams, what's going on? Craig Digga. Saturdays are made for belly bombs. I love it. I love it. Cliff Nelson, what's good, man? Travis Michelle said, who's behind the plate today? So, really good question. So Travinsky pinch hit last night in the ninth. And by the way, that was completely the right call to pinch hit Travinsky in that spot. You were trying to win the game. And I also agree that pinch hitting Bear Jones in the sixth for Joe Bear was also 100% the right call. You know, in that moment, you're tied 2-2. You need to get something going, and Joe Bear had, Joe Bear has just struggled to hit a breaking pitch since the opener of the College World Series when he was a single away from the cycle. Joe Bear was awesome in that opening game against Tennessee, and he's been good in right field as well. But he has just been fighting it, and so you needed to sit him down there. You had Bear Jones sitting there, and Jones, of course, is a strikeout risk, which is why he kind of lost his job. But after Joe Bear had the monster day against Tennessee, let's see. After Joe Bear had the monster 3-for-4 game against Tennessee, 0-for-4 against Wake with 2 strikeouts, 0-for-3 against Tennessee with a strikeout. Hey. Yep. Hang on one second. go say, hi, Dad, show.
Dad.
You know Daddy sit?
Yes.
Okay, sit on Daddy's lap. Okay, come on. Let me get my hands on you. All right. All right. Hey, guess what? You know who won the baseball game last night? Okay, babe. Who won the baseball game last night?
Scone.
Yes. So what do we say when LSU's playing?
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Yes, we do. Are you so excited? Are you so excited?
Not for Dad's show.
Well, after Dad's show, did we tell him? Dad go to church, and then Drew go to the mall, and then watch LSU baseball. So anyway, we're talking about Joe Bear. So listen, you're going to face Waldrop, which Waldrop's a big power arm, but he has a split finger fastball, which is really tough to identify and to hit. I don't know that Kling is a better option because Kling lost his job because of his inability to hit high-level pitching. What, baby?
Mall with.
You can go to the mall with?
Dad.
With Daddy? And then, huh? Okay. Okay. And then, so anyway, so I think Jay's got a tough decision to make there. You know, do you leave?
Not for big baseball.
After baseball, we go play, we go swim in the pool, with your backpack, with your dinner. So anyway, Monday, where are you gonna go, Mommy?
Home Depot.
Good job. So I think Kling and Joe Bear, I'm not sure that you really count on either to give you much offensively today. The difference is I think Joe Bear could run into one. And I don't know that Kling and Wright gives you so much more defensively that it warrants taking even the potential of a bat out of the line. Or maybe he's thinking just shake it up and give Kling a shot. Hey, I'll remind y'all. Sometimes coaches play hunches and they know their guys and they look at matchups. In 2009, the championship game, the final game against Texas. Remember, Paul Maneri started Sean Ochinko at first base in that game. Do y'all remember that? And Ochinko went. Hang on, I'm gonna pull this up right now. Yeah, it was a thing. Like everyone talks, the move everyone talks about, of course, is when Maneri put Nola in at short and moved LeMahieu to second. But he started Ochinko at first base in the deciding game, and Ochinko went 4 for. Wednesday go to the mall. Ochinko went. What, baby?
With Mom.
With Mommy. Ochinko went 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs in that game and 2 runs scored. So Maneri looked at the matchup, had a hunch, inserted Ochinko, and it paid off. So, you know, Jay knows his team, and if he thinks that he likes a matchup for a certain reason and goes with it today, I'm good with that. So I guess a long way of saying if he sticks with Joe Bear and Wright, I'm cool with it. If he thinks he likes Kling and Wright today, that's cool too. The difference is if you put Kling and Wright, it does shuffle your lineup. And the other question too is, do you catch Milazzo or Travinski? My inclination is to say, and this is maybe a little counterintuitive, but against Waldrop, it's probably a game where offense is going to be hard to come by. So you lean on defense because one run could be the difference in the game, right? I would be inclined to say, with the wind blowing out today, I actually want Travinski in there because just the same way he pinch hit Travinski in the ninth, Travinski could run into one and change the scoreboard. And I would take 1 for 4 from Travinski with 3 strikeouts if the one is a 3-run homer, right? I mean, that's very much a Major League Baseball strategy, why they just have big boppers up and down the lineup and nobody nobody punts anymore, and everybody's a dead pull hitter because you're playing for the 3-run homer. But I feel like with the wind blowing out today, that might be your chance against Waldrop. So you get the big swing like you got from Beloso in the game against Tennessee or against Wake Forest. I'm sorry, when you had the 4-run third inning when Beloso put the 3-run homer on the board. So I kind of feel like that may be your play today. Anyway, let's see. Zachary Snyder asked there about Kling and Milazzo and Jones and all that. So I don't think Jones is in my lineup today, because if Jones is in my lineup, he has to DH. So if he DHs, that means Beloso comes out, and Beloso's not coming out. And if you put him in the field, that means you put him at first, and then Morgan goes to the outfield. And if that's the case, your outfield would be Morgan, Pearson, and I don't want to take Trey Morgan off of first base. So clearly, I don't think there's a spot for Bear Jones in the lineup today. I think your options are, do you catch Milazzo or Travinski? Do you play Joe Bear or Kling and right? The moves you saw made last night, do you start with that today? Those are your decisions if you're Jay Johnson. Ethan Davidson, Trent Delahousse, what's going on? Can you recall a bigger turnaround from where the bullpen was after the Mississippi State series to what they accomplished in Omaha? So, Trent, it's a very legitimate question. By the way, he's probably going to want his iPad. So I may have to get up and go get that for him. Do you want your iPad?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hang on one second. Let me get his iPad for him. I'll be right back and I'll answer that question. Okay. Apologies for that, y'all. Thank you for being patient. So, bullpen turnaround. I maintain and continue to maintain that the bullpen wasn't as terrible as fans made it out to be. Said it pretty consistently. By the time you get to the postseason, you pare your bullpen down. Like, listen, the Mississippi State game was atrocious. That Mother's Day game against Mississippi State was absolutely atrocious. There's no getting around it. It was unacceptable. It was inexcusable. It was awful. They were up 13. They completely took their eye off the ball. Pun somewhat intended. And they also let a guy with a 9 ERA handcuff him for 5 innings. But think about this is who you pitched in that game. Coleman started, went 2 2/3. Then you went to Guidry for 2/3 of an inning. Herring, Little, Money, Ackenhausen, Collins, Dutton, then Cooper got you home. Coleman has barely pitched. Little hasn't touched the ball in the postseason. Money really isn't a factor. Collins hasn't pitched. Dutton hasn't pitched. 5 of the guys who threw for you in that game aren't even a factor. So do you understand? Like, that's the thing that I know. I've said this a million times over the last couple of weeks, or sort of the last week. It feels like it's been a couple weeks. But maybe now it's starting to crystallize. When you go through the regular season, you got to understand a lot of guys that pitch for you in the regular season aren't guys that you're going to count on in the postseason. But it's just, you're trying to win a tournament. It's very different winning a tournament than when you're going through a regular season grind. So the point being, can you identify 6 or 7 guys on your staff that can help you get through a postseason? And you can even look back then and say, yeah, like Hurd by that point had emerged. You knew you could count on Skeens and Floyd. So you had those 3. Cooper has been dramatically better in this College World Series than he was during the regular season. I don't even think that's debatable. But Herring at one point this year was your closer. I'm sorry, Herring at one point this year was your first out of the bullpen. Gavin Guidry against South Carolina, when you lost the first game, had a dramatic comeback, gave him the ball and said, go get me my final 3 outs. And he was nails on the road against South Carolina as a freshman. But my point is, like, what I kept saying all year was, y'all, that you can't just highlight the bad. You have to acknowledge there is good there, and you're going to pare it down by the time you get to the postseason. So, did I expect them to go through Omaha with a staff ERA of like, I don't even know what it is after last night. They went into yesterday with, it was like 1.5 something yesterday in Omaha. I mean, you went 11 innings and allowed 2 runs. So your ERA went down after last night. Did I expect that? No. But I also don't believe it was ever as bad as the fan narrative was. So, and I'm on record saying that. So that's not something that's hindsight 2020. I've been on record saying that. Eric Hart, what's going on? Let's see who's on the bump today. It's got to be Ackenhausen. I do think Hurd would be available. Hurd threw 47 pitches on Thursday. So with 2 days rest, he could easily come back and give you something today. But best case scenario is that you wouldn't need Hurd. If you could go Ackenhausen, Guidry, and then probably Cooper again to close. Ackenhausen, Guidry, Cooper, I think. If that gets you home and you have a lead, great. If you have a lead, I could see Ackenhausen, Guidry, Hurd, Ackenhausen, Hurd, Guidry, something like that to get you home, depending on how Florida's bats are handling the lefty. Maybe you want to, I mean, Jay said this after the game that Ackenhausen pitched against Tennessee when he followed him up with Cooper's like, the lefty was giving him trouble and I wanted to keep that look. And there's a lot of similarities between Ackenhausen and Cooper, as we all know. So, Adam Penny, good morning. Which put Milazzo ahead of Pearson at the bottom of the lineup today. Adam, I don't know if Milazzo is going to start today. I think that's the decision Jay has to make. And I'm going to say again, if the wind is blowing out, if the wind, by the way, Damon Blackbird said Ackenhausen and Herring. That's a real possibility too. Like if Ackenhausen is giving them trouble, you could go Ackenhausen, Herring, Cooper. I mean, you could just feed them lefties. So, anyway, I don't know that Milazzo is in the lineup. If the wind's blowing out at 20 miles an hour today, I probably want Travinski to start this game. So, because, again, it's, I think, going to be harder to break through against Waldrop, and I need, which is probably, guys, another reason why I would stick with Joe Bear. As much as he has scuffled, and it has been rough. I mean, like, there's no denying that. He's a left-handed bat on a windy day against a right-handed pitcher. So, now tomorrow, if it gets to tomorrow and you face Caglione and you're facing a lefty, then I probably would take a look at starting Kling and because Joe Bear has not hit lefties at all. So I probably would look at getting a right-handed bat in the lineup in Kling if it comes to it tomorrow. Shane O'Mac, Biggest Bites, Darren Mayer, what's up? Jeremy Fontana. Chico Lynch, morning, Matt. My wife and I are 2 hours from Omaha. Hitting the road with Scone in the background. All right. Kyle Milliken. So let's see, should you go at Guidry? Who else available tonight? Listen, I legitimately think everyone except for Skeens and Floyd is available today. In some capacity, everyone's available for you today. If you want to run through who the most taxed guys are, if you just kind of work backwards and you look at the Thursday game against Wake Forest, you just use Skeens and Hurd. Hurd threw 47 pitches, and so on 2 days rest, 2 full days rest, Hurd can give you something out of the bullpen. The Wednesday game against Wake Forest, where it was the bullpen day, you used 5 arms, but Coleman threw 40 pitches, Money threw 6, Guidry threw 20, Cooper threw 20. Herring would be the question. Herring threw 80 pitches, but that was on Wednesday. So on 3 full days rest, like Herring could give you whatever you need today. That's a guy who on the season has thrown 30 innings. I mean, it's not like he has this dramatic arm fatigue. That's by far his longest outing of the year. So no problem whatsoever, going to Herring. And then we talked about Ackenhausen, who pitched on Tuesday against Tennessee and threw 90. Ackenhausen went 93 pitches, but now he's on 4 days rest. Again, Ackenhausen's a guy who won the season, I believe, has fewer than 30 innings. I think Ackenhausen was like let me not guess, I'll tell you. Ackenhausen on the season has thrown 28 and a third innings. So, like, the guy's thrown 28 innings all year. He comes out and gives you 93, then gets 4 days rest. Yeah, he can extend for you today. So, literally everyone is available today, except for Skeens and Floyd. So, however, I mean, you got 10 arms available to you today for Jay Johnson. You want to go play matchups throughout the entire game? Okay. Whatever, like, however you want to piece this together today to get home, you can do it because you had that luxury today. You're a game ahead, and you could probably run Hurd out there tomorrow to start a Monday if necessary game. So, anything else I think is available to you today. Ryan Dixon, what's your celebration for when LSU wins the Natty? I'll polish off that bottle a lot, B. Thoughts on the Dugas-Thompson situation, change of position so far? Paul seems to find and expose this arrangement in a bad way. Yeah, I don't think so, Bob. I think it's actually been darn near flawless. I think just when it doesn't, you pay attention. Like Dugas on the tricky fly ball yesterday. The broadcast mentioned Pearson should have caught that coming in. I agree. Like, that should have been Pearson's ball. That was a really tough play for Dugas, running back to the infield, running with his back to the infield. That was a really tough play. You'd love to see him make it, but and then Thompson's booted one ground ball at second, but Dugas booted one yesterday at second. So no, man, I think I'm perfectly fine with it. Like, legitimately fine with it. It's not an easy thing to do. Terrio talked about this on Friday. Like, everything's different from your feet alignment to throw to how you flip, how you cover back. Like, it's a completely different position to play. It's like playing left tackle, right tackle. I gave T-Bob that explanation last night. When you're a left tackle, your left foot is back. When you're a right tackle, your right foot is back. You lead with your right hand or your left hand. It's like you're playing a very different position. It's hard to switch. But they wouldn't be doing something so dramatic if they didn't feel like it was, if they felt like it was necessary. So, Byron Gilcrease, Jamie Fortenberry, Derek Peterson, what's up, y'all? Good morning. Karen Adams, Scott Beckham, good morning, y'all. Good morning, good morning. Hey, quick reminder, by the way, I love it. 552 people live on YouTube, 136 live on Facebook. Much love to y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I'm not going to go super long today because I got to get downtown. Jimmy and I are going to be doing pregame again. So noon start, 104.5 ESPN, Eagle 98.1, and the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. We'll go noon to 1:30. And at 1:30, we'll hand it off to the network pregame, Chris Blair, Doug Thompson. And then, of course, the game. And then postgame, I will be back here on YouTube. So just like we were doing all throughout the week, as soon as the game ends, I'll pop live here on a YouTube stream. So we'll look to see y'all then. Amanda Bourgeois, Carl the Cat, Doug Thompson's the joke. How about Doug last night? So a lot of y'all were mentioning they thought Doug dropped an F-bomb. I think he kind of was like he muted himself a little bit on the Beloso homer, which was awesome. Yeah, man, those guys are having a ton of fun. How can you not love Doug? I mean, Doug is LSU purple and gold through and through. Wears his emotions on his sleeve. He is every one of us. He just happens to be the guy who also got the final out of a World Series championship game in 1997. You know what I mean? So he's awesome. Yeah, Doug is awesome. I love the call. It was great. Fletch and Kendall Rogers said the wind is blowing straight out at 30 miles an hour right now. Or 30 mile an hour wind gusts expected. Yeah. Rally frogs and pool dives tonight. All right, Charlie. Noah Melanson. Base on balls have played a huge part in the College World Series. Yes, Even if you look at last night's game, look at the third inning. Curlin walked, and then Langford doubled to right center. They held Curlin at third, which was stunning. But they had the ground. They scored their first run. If you remember the play, they hit the ground ball to Morgan at first, and he couldn't handle it. It popped off of him. Thompson was playing second, by the way, to whoever said, "How about that arrangement? How about the play Thompson made when the ball's hit to Morgan? He would have had a play at the plate." Couldn't field it, and then Dugas had a play at the plate as well later that he couldn't field, but Morgan couldn't field it, and it bounced. Thompson caught it, and then how about the presence of mind for Floyd to still cover and get the out? But that's how they scored the first one. Anyway, it scored on a walk. So yes, I mean undeniably, y'all. I can't believe we've gone this far. We haven't even really talked about it, but it's crazy when you have a game like that. But I mean, Ty Floyd, 17 strikeouts. Like, Ty Floyd has more strikeouts in this World Series than Paul Skeens. 10 against Wake Forest, 17 last night. I mean, I was a kid in 1993 when Brett Laxton struck out 16 Wichita State hitters in the College World Series championship game when they blanked him 8-0. And I am just absolutely floored at what we watched last night from Ty Floyd. 3 runs on 5 hits, struck out 17, walked just 1, and that's the key. When Ty Floyd doesn't walk people, he is a monster, and it was awesome to watch last night. Eric Gregor, have you ever seen a team in any sport that knows who they are other than this Tiger team? It's been fun to watch, man, for sure. Hey, shout out to Brock. After Hours Clinic's open. If during your celebrations last night or today you twisted an ankle or anything like that, remember, you can bypass the ER. Go to Brock. The After Hours Clinic's open. Walk-ins are welcome. So bypass the ER, go to Brock. And of course, Hudco Roofing. Y'all, I got Hudco pinned in the chat. Just allow me a quick moment here. We had awful weather this week, and one thing, with the hail earlier this week, and one of the things, we're literally seeing people with signs in their yard that says, "We have a roofer. Please don't knock on our door." And I tell you all the time, like, ignore the door knockers. Like, trust a local company. And you see unfortunately, when a storm comes, you see the worst in people sometimes. You also see the best in people. But there are opportunistic storm chasers that pop up or come in from out of town. And even if you don't call Hudco, just call a local company that you trust, that's been around for a long time, that will be around in the future as well. But if you have an issue, you can call them and they're going to answer. They're going to be there. It's a big part of it that most people don't consider. But anyway, we love it if you call us, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Hudco's pinned in the chat. Just click the link. You can fill out the inspection form on the homepage. We'd love to help you out. Jonathan Hunter digging the show from San Fran on the way to Napa. Okay. John Doucette, what's going on? Leave it up to Tommy to win us the game. Well, Tommy White's homer in the 8th off of Neely was, off of Fisher was, I mean, that was the moment because, LSU had wasted so many opportunities early in that game, y'all. You had Sproat threw 30 pitches in the first inning, and you only scratched across 1 run. You leave them loaded in the second, and yet, boy, this was your opportunity to break through. You get the bases loaded. Pearson walks, Milazzo singles, Cruz walks. So you got 1 out. Thompson led off the inning with a strikeout, but you got 1 out, bases loaded. White and Morgan do up. And here comes Tommy White, man, and he first pitch hammers the ball right at third base. They were shaded perfectly. Tip your cap. And then Trey Morgan comes up and strikes out swinging. So you credit Sproat for getting out of it, man. But, huge missed opportunities. And you were right back at it in the third. And Dugas led off the inning with a homer. Beloso singled. So now you're up 2-0. You got a runner on. And, man, I really thought this is where you're going to chase him. Joe Bear strikes out. Thompson is up. He grounds a ball to second base. The second baseman can't handle it, so it's an error. So now you got 2 on for Pearson. And I really thought that's where they were going to run Sproat. And Sproat got Pearson to ground out, and then he struck out Milazzo. And he got out of it again. It was just so many missed opportunities early in that game to create separation, unfortunately. And, you credit Sproat for being tough and making pitches in tough situations. But then you flip it around and you say, man, look at Riley Cooper. Riley Cooper had the potential winning run on second base in the 9th and the 10th. When in the bottom of the 9th, with 2 outs, they walked Heyman. And then the pass ball that went off of Milazzo's glove was devastating because now you got the winning run at second base and a base hit. A base hit wins the game for Florida. And Cooper strikes out Scheichhofer. I mean, it was incredible. And then you go into the 10th, and you pinch hit Travinsky for Milazzo, which was 100% the right decision in that spot. And Travinsky struck out. But then Cruz walked a wild pitch. He gets to second. Then they, of course, intentionally walked Tommy White now with the base open. And you got Trey Morgan up with Cruz at second, base hit, and you have the lead. And Morgan popped up on the infield, and then Dugas gave it a ride, but it flew out to center, and you're out of it again. You go to the bottom of the 10th. Robertson flew out to center. That was the play where Cruz was going back, and jumped and caught it against the wall. That was a hold your breath moment because that almost left the yard. And then he hit Halter on the arm, on the hand. They reviewed it, but it hit him on their hand. And then Curlin hit the ball right back to Cooper, and he couldn't field it. So now it's first and second with 1 out. And Langford lined out to center. I'm sorry. Langford hit the missile to left that Josh Pearson made the running catch, which, God bless you, Josh Pearson. I mean, that was Wyatt Langford's All-America moment right there. And Pearson made the play, and then he got Caglione to pop up to short. I mean, just incredible. What a game. All of it incredible. I think John's question was about Tommy winning the game, but I mean, Cade Beloso, Tommy White. But my point is, I guess in the 8th, you felt devastated. And then Tommy White came through the home, and then of course Cade Beloso in the top of the 11th. You know what? Hey, I want to play this for y'all. I don't know if y'all heard this, but after the game, I know I posted this. I don't know if I posted on Twitter. I actually don't know if I posted this on Twitter. I didn't post on Twitter. Darn it. So Cade Beloso after the game said, oh well. Anyway, they asked Cade Beloso about that pitch, or what he saw in the home run at bat, and he said, the first time I faced Neely, he struck me out on 3 pitches, and it was 3 fastballs, and I looked pretty silly. And then that at bat, he came back first pitch fastball, and I wasn't even close again. So I knew they weren't going off of it. So I just had to bear down, know I was getting a fastball, and got a good pitch, and I put a good swing on it. The point being, Cade Beloso goes up there with a plan every time. Not every hitter does, And it's the biggest difference with Cade and Gavin Dugas. Look at Dylan Cruz too; he's a phenomenal hitter, and all. But Gavin and Cade go up there with a plan every time they're at the plate, and that may sound somewhat rudimentary, but it's true, and it shouldn't be overlooked because some guys go up there and they're not like when you're not a mature hitter, you're not really sure what you're looking for, you're not recognizing spin. Like you are they have a term for it. They call it a guess hitter. You're a guess hitter. You're guessing. Um, and if you guess fastball and you plant your front foot and you swing level and you and you got a lot of power, you can get it out of the yard. Um, but a great example, y'all, in Gavin Dugas' first at bat of the game. Do y'all remember this at bat? So you start off the game, Cruz is hit by a pitch on his jersey, then White strikes out. Morgan grounds out. So great call by Jay Johnson. They had the hit and run on to stay out of the double play. So Morgan grounded out the second. That would have been a double play, but they had Cruz running on the pitch, so you avoid the double play. And Gavin Dugas walked, and it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. It was an 11 pitch at bat where he fouled off 5 pitches, including 4 in a row. I mean, he fouled off 4 consecutive pitches in a 3-2 count before drawing ball 4. That's the point. Like some guys go up there with the intention of, hey man, let me just keep the merry-go-round going. Let me make this guy throw a lot of pitches. It's honestly why, and I've said this all year, I prefer Dugas leading off than Cruz, because Cruz will go up there first pitch swinging. He is up there hunting. Gavin is up there exploring, put it to you that way. And you want your leadoff hitter to get on base for your run producers, and you want your leadoff hitter to make the pitcher throw everything in his arsenal. And Gavin does that, man. Listen, obviously there's a massive benefit to having Cruz first and White second because they're going to come up more often. Like you're more likely to get them a 5th at bat in a game. So anyway, look, it's what it is. It ain't going to change today, but my point is, hat tip Gavin Dugas, I guess is my point. Damon Blackburn, Don Juan looked fun last night. It was awesome. Thanks to everybody who came out, man. We had such a great time. Don Juan has been a great host to us. We made a lot of friends over there, from the other regulars who come out to watch the shows to the staff over there. Obviously the bartenders, Brittany and Laurel wasn't there last night, but Brittany and Laurel are the bartenders who are there all throughout football season every Saturday night with us. And they've been great and accommodating to us. They make us feel welcome, even though we take over one of their booths. But to everybody who comes out and supports our sponsors, it's phenomenal. It's why we get to continue doing stuff like that. So thanks to everybody. Let's see. Golf. So, did someone ask about pit stops for Hope? Sorry, I mean the comments are scrolling pretty fast, so my apologies if I'm missing some of them. It's not intentional. Someone asked about. Oh, there it is. Gregory Gordy said, Matt, last night you were talking about a former player that's a trainer for Pit Crew, has a foundation. Can you talk more about it? Yeah, so that's Ray Wright. So if you remember Ray Wright, Ray Wright was the right fielder for LSU on the 2000 national championship team. He's the guy who made the famous play in Omaha against Stanford when Edmund Muth of Stanford had hit a ball that was, it was going over the wall, and Ray Wright went over the wall and robbed the home run. And that obviously is a play that, everything else equal, Stanford wins the national championship. Anyway, Ray's an awesome guy. I've gotten to know him really since Drew was born. I don't know if you want me to tell you all the story, but I will. When Drew was born, and we were facing some enormous challenges in every way. Guarantee did a big fundraiser for us at the varsity. They did a big fundraiser concert for us at the varsity, and they did an auction, and you know, Ray and I don't remember specifically, but we've just kind of been in touch a little. Like, I think I'd had him on the show a couple times, just reaching out to to former players, get him on the show, that sort of thing. And so I shot him a message. I was like, "Hey, look, man, they're work's doing a fundraiser. Like, could you just like sign a ball or something like that we could put in the auction or something? I would just be real appreciative. Just anything, no pressure." Ray Wright sent the glove from that game. He signed that glove that he used in the national championship game. He signed it and sent it to auction. I felt terrible about it because I mean that's something, give that to your kids. You know what I mean? But he's that guy. Anyway, long way of saying, so Ray has a charity. So Ray works for Hendricks Racing, and he's strength coordinator. If I'm messing, I don't know if Ray might be watching right now. If I'm messing that up, I'm sorry. But he's been on pit crews for NASCAR, and he works like as a strength and conditioning coach on their team. And he also has a charity called Pit Stops for Hope. And Pit Stops for Hope is an organization that it feeds the hungry. It's an amazing mission, and Ray's just such an awesome guy. So anyway, we got to talking about, because of like Pearson's catch last night and the play Morgan made against Wake. We were talking about Ray's catch, so I mentioned Ray, and then as I'm watching, the live stream, I just happened to see the Pit Stops for Hope name go across. So Ray was watching, and so I shouted it out. So anyway, that's Pit Stops for Hope. So I told Ray post the link in the chat last night, and I don't know if he did after that. I'm glad I just happened to glance down and see him. So that's Gregory what it is. And so I did just post the Pit Stops for Hope link for those that might be interested. Okay. Jeff G, does LSU send a message today if Cruz or Skeens does not win the Golden Spikes? I don't think so. But I think Cruz will win it. I think if the voting had taken place after Omaha, Skeens would win it, but the voting was shut down before Omaha. And as we saw, so many people have seen Skeens for the first time in this College World Series. But I do think Dylan Cruz is going to win it. Mason Batts, how do you feel about Florida's pitching today? I think, well, they're going to throw Hurston Waldrop. I mean, we can run through Waldrop's numbers. Hurston Waldrop, by the way, we looked it up last night. He is 20th in the MLB pipeline for this upcoming draft. He is the 5th highest rated pitcher in the draft, behind Skeens. There's a high school kid, Louder from Wake Forest, and there's one other one I'm missing. But anyways, the 5th highest rated pitcher in the draft, in this upcoming draft. So Waldrop, on the season, has a 3.99 ERA. In conference play, his ERA was mid-5s. In SEC games only, his ERA was mid-5s. And he had some shaky outings. He allowed 4 runs to Alabama, 6 runs at Ole Miss, 5 runs at South Carolina, 4 to Missouri and A&M. Against Missouri, he only went 4 2/3. Against A&M, he only went 3 innings. So, there were some challenges for Waldrop. Now, in the postseason, he's been magnificent. In the regional round against UConn, 7 innings, 1 run on 5 hits, struck out 12. Against South Carolina in the Super Regional, 8 innings, no runs, 3 hits, struck out 13. And against Oral Roberts, he went 6 innings, 1 run on 7 hits, struck out 12. So in his last 3 outings, he's gone 7 innings, 8 innings, 6 innings, and struck out 12, 13, 12. That's that in the postseason. And he has allowed a grand total of 2 runs. Both earned, but 2 runs in 21 innings in the postseason. He's been awesome his last 3 times out. So LSU has a massive, massive challenge today. And I'll say it again, it's why winning yesterday was so important, because you did not want your season hanging in the balance and having to beat Hurston Waldrop. Kelly O'Neill, should I get the cheerleading uniform ready? Oh, Ryan is ready. So, there's Ray Wright. There's my guy. Ray's watching on Facebook. I'm glad you're there, Ray. Thanks for being there, dude. Brent Roban, do we get Floyd back next season? No, absolutely not. He's a junior. He's 100% going to sign. And if you had any doubt at all, last night completely cinches that forever. So Kelly O'Neill. So if you remember, Ryan O'Neill, who played football at LSU, was on. I believe Ryan was on the 03 team. If not, he was done just a smidge before that. But he played for Saban. He wore number 49 from Jesuit, and he was kind of like the psycho kickoff guy. If you remember, he would one time he got a 15-yard penalty for doing the throat slash. Well, Ryan's sister Kelly is a good friend of mine, and it was 08. It's when they closed the box, the old box. So Condon and I had an on-air bet. This is when we're at the score of 12-10. We had an on-air bet if they would get 6,000 actual attendance at the box for a game at the old box. And I said, absolutely. And so we made a bet, and the bet was like one of us would wear a cheerleading uniform or whatever. And so ultimately, I got screwed because they did a very poor job then of counting standing room only tickets and just letting people in. It was the old box was much looser when you would let people come and go and sort of things. So they, in the final weekend against Mississippi State at the old box, but before postseason play, of course they hosted regional, super regionals. We know they walked it off. They finished the old box against Cal Irvine, but in the final regular season weekend they played Mississippi State, and it was sardines, man. There were, suffice to say, they cleared the number greatly, but the official number that came out was less. And so I ended up wearing the cheerleader uniform at Pluckers for the super regional against Baylor. And it was a costume that Ryan O'Neill had, because that's about the only thing that would have fit me. So anyway, so no, but to answer your question, Kelly, no, you do not need to get the cheerleading costume ready, because I have no bet. I have no bet or no reason to wear the cheerleading costume. But let it be known, again, Dwayne from Thibodeau, that Scone pays his bets when I lose. Dana Berthelot, Matt, I enjoy listening to you talk all things LSU. Go Tigers. Thank you, Dana. I appreciate you for being there. All right, y'all. It's almost 10 o'clock. I got to be downtown and on air at noon, so I'm going to have to get rolling here. Let's see if I can get a couple of more. Lance Bradford, Bengal Tiger, Dave Vinder, Josh Neal. Ryan was the man on special teams. Joe Simon, my wife said we should pitch the other twin. My wife calls Ackenhausen the other twin. Benton Troxclair, I don't know the stats, but I feel like Floyd's good fastballs get more swing and miss than Skeens. Ben, let's not be a prisoner of the moment. Paul Skeens just broke a 34-year record for strikeouts in a season. Ty Floyd was awesome last night, and he's been awesome all year, quite honestly. When he doesn't walk people, he is magnificent. But let's not be crazy, right? Paul Skeens is literally the best pitcher we've ever seen at LSU. No, they're not. They're not super comparable. Jackson Carter, Chase Burns in the portal. Yes, a lot of y'all brought that up yesterday, and if you were watching Morning Scone yesterday, I got a call near the end of the show. As soon as we wrap up the show, I went and made that call. Yes, and those conversations are and have already been had with Chase Burns. And at this point, I think it would be an upset if he's not at LSU. It's never done until, right? I mean, it's never done until sign, paperwork, enroll, all that sort of stuff. But in Tennessee, you could always try to convince him to stay. But yes, I think Chase Burns is going to be a Tiger. Incredibly, actually, but I do. The other thing that happened yesterday, I don't know if y'all, we didn't talk about it here, but for those that missed it, LSU, sorry, apologies. LSU did get a commitment via the portal from Cade Woods. So Cade Woods is from Monroe, went to Alabama. Cade would have been a draft guy out of high school, but he blew out towards UCL, had Tommy John, went to school, rehabbed, and now he's been a bullpen guy at Alabama, and now he's transferring to LSU. He is an elite high-end strikeout guy. When they played Florida this year, at one point he struck out 7 in a row to end the game. He struck out the last 7 batters to end the game. If you remember that story, that was Cade Woods, and he's transferring to LSU. So you are getting a monster bullpen piece. The Lower, the lefty arm from Xavier, is a potential rotation guy next year for LSU. So you're rolling in the portal already. Mark Vitanovich, Waldrop pitched for Florida today. Yes. Brian Arsenault watching live from Omaha. Appreciate it. Okay, y'all. As always, shout out to Brock. Remember, Brock Rock and Wine, great fundraiser coming up July 29th at Tiger Stadium, South Stadium Club. You can get your tickets at brortho.com, brortho.com. Of course, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Hudco's pinned in the chat on both YouTube and Facebook, so do us a solid there. And click that Hudco link. Maybe it's not you, maybe it's a friend, family member, a co-worker, a neighbor who had roof damage. We'd love to help you out with a free, no obligation roofing inspection. Do business with someone you know. All right. Dave Endure, anybody know when the last time we had an undefeated starting pitcher? Lang was undefeated as a freshman in 2015. Lang was 13-0, something like that. Logan Elrod, one more win until we swim at Matt's house. Reaper 8, how do you feel today? Do we win? You know what, man? At this point, how do you pick against them? Like, there's something to be said in baseball for playing with confidence and just believing in the moment you're going to come up with the big hit, the big pitch. And LSU has, the College World Series is odd in that it's not a tournament where always the best team wins. It's a tournament where the team who's playing the best wins. It's why Coastal Carolina and Fresno State can win national championships. Ole Miss was not the best team in the country last year. Far from it. They probably should not have even been in the field. They were the last at-large team to get in the field, and probably shouldn't have been. It should have been NC State. But they were hot. They believed. They had good veteran leadership. You had Elko on that team. And they had 2 pitchers that just absolutely were in a groove, and they rode them to a national championship. So same thing with Mississippi State 2 years ago. It's not always who's the best team, but it's who's playing the best in Omaha in that tournament. And LSU is playing the best in this tournament. Their pitching staff, flush what you know or what you think, whatever conception you had about LSU's pitching staff for 10 weeks in SEC play or 13 weeks during the season, and think about what you've seen in Omaha over 6 games already. They've been the best pitching staff in Omaha, period. That's not debatable. They've got an ERA around 1.5. So and it's probably, I know their ERA went down after last night because they allowed 2 earned runs in 11 innings. So, I mean, your ERA went, because it was 2 earned runs, right? Well, I need to check that to see if not that this matters tremendously. I'm just curious. Did they? Okay, all 3 runs were earned to Floyd. Okay, so 3 earned runs in 11 innings. So, Floyd's ERA is 4.35. Cooper's ERA is 4.30. Both of them are pitching to a much better clip than that now. So, again, like, who's playing the best now? LSU has the best pitching staff in Omaha. LSU has had the best pitching staff in Omaha to this point. I'm not talking about the most talented, the highest draft pick. Skeens, of course, is. But, like, for the whole, all LSU has is Skeens. Look at what they're doing right now. And so LSU's playing the best. How do you pick against them? I mean, in my mind, my brain, I like Waldrop better today. Waldrop's better than Ackenhausen. Like, Waldrop's going to be a first-round draft pick in a week, or in a couple weeks. Ackenhausen isn't. But, so, I mean, God, I was in Omaha in 2000 when LSU took on Mark Pryor. Did LSU start Jason Scobie? Was that who they started? Hang on. I gotta look this up now. Brad Haupt had 2 2-run homers in that game. Ben Saxon. They started Ben Saxon. LSU started Ben Saxon against Mark Pryor. LSU started Ben Saxon against Mark Pryor and won the game 10-4. And won the game 10-4. Who's playing the best? So, Hurston Waldrop over Nate Ackenhausen, an advantage to Florida? Yes. That does not mean Florida wins this game. I could not bet against LSU right now. How could you at this point? Like, the belief they're playing with, they have everyone available today except Skeens and Floyd. You have 10 arms. You can play matchups if you want. Like, you have all the leverage because you have a game to play with. They have to be all in today. If Waldrop gets in trouble and you get a couple of runs on him early, they probably have to pull him because if you're Florida, you can't let the game get away from you. So, and LSU's the home team today, which means you get the final at bat. You're going to have the crowd advantage. I mean, love the shirt. Where'd you get it? I had these made back in 2018 after that SEC tournament. Anyway. All right, let's wrap this up. It's 10 o'clock. I got to go, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. Go Tigers. Couple of reminders real quick before you leave. Couple of reminders. Please just wait 1 second. Shout out to Brock and Hudco. You need an orthopedist. Brock, great sponsors of Morning Scone, have been for years. Hudco would love to help you out with the roof. Noon, so 2 hours from right now, noon Central, me, Jimmy Ott, live on 104.5 ESPN, Eagle 98.1, and watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube. As soon, we'll go from noon to 1:30, hand it off to network pregame, Chris Blair, Doug Thompson, and the guys at 1:30 to 2. Game will be on Eagle 98.1. You can watch that as well. And then as soon as the game ends, I'll fire up a live stream on YouTube. So Facebook, please find my YouTube for the post-game stream. I'll be live on YouTube just as soon as the game ends. So we'll look for y'all there. Okay, go Tigers. Y'all have an awesome day. Peace. Smash the like button, please.